Eddie Hejka, everybody, come on.
How you doing, Eddie? Good, Alex. How are you? All right, nice and close. Pick the next storyteller.
Okay, years ago there was this commercial that would show it's for the Marines. It would show a sword being forged and hardened and sharpened. And those images remind me of our daughter. About 3 years ago, between her junior and senior year of high school, I picked her up from her summer job. We're driving home. And she says, "Can you take me to the recruiter's office?" This was out of the blue. I said, "Okay, what branch?" She says, "The Marines." I said, "The Marines? Do you mind if I ask why?" She said, "Because it's the hardest." So she signs up for the Marines, active duty, delayed enlistment. So she would go in the following summer after her senior year of high school. And so throughout her senior year of high school here at Western High School in Southwest Detroit, she, in addition to her classes and her sports and being captain of the softball team, she would be working out twice a week with all the other Marine Corps recruits, right? And they'd have other kind of recruit activities. Like in the spring, they had this dinner, this potluck dinner for all the recruits and their families. And we all get together. It's very nice, good food. And about halfway through dinner, this drill sergeant comes in. He's from Paris Island, from boot camp. He comes up and he starts yelling, and all the recruits jump to their feet and they go running out after him. And they're all in their sweats. They knew this was coming. And he takes them out to the field outside the community center to run them through some drills while we have questions for, if any family members have questions of the sergeant about what, their kids have gotten themselves into. And people are asking questions, and then my wife, Michelle, says to me, "Eddie, ask him about sexual assault." So I raise my hand, and the sergeant calls on me, and I stand up and I say, "Sergeant, about 10 minutes ago, we saw these young people jump up and run out of the room following drill sergeant. We're all very proud. But what I also saw was 70 young men and our daughter. And I want to know what has been done to address the real issue of sexual assault in the military." Now, the sergeant wasn't ready to answer that question. So this major steps in and takes the mic, and he assures us, because of the brave women who have stepped forward to reveal this problem, that real reforms have taken place, and he details some of those, and he says, "But I understand your concern, so I'd like to speak to your wife and you afterwards." So after he finds us and he's talking to us and gives us a longer answer, then the talk just sort of turns to the Marines in general. And Taryn walks up, our daughter. She's about 5'1", 120 pounds, very soft-spoken. He asks her a few questions. She's, "Yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, no, sir." And, he does this quick assessment. He says, "Boot camp's going to be the toughest thing you ever go through." And Michelle and I do this thing that, married couples sometimes do. We just exchange a quick glance, hardly moving our eyes at all, and we exchange volumes of information. Toughest thing you ever go through? Yeah, right. You see, Taryn had been with us in 2 different stints in foster care. The first, when she was 17 months old, she was just this tiny little bag of bones who lived here on my shoulder. She was so lethargic, we were afraid she was failure to thrive. And it was Taryn who, at age 5, was nearly killed in a house fire and was saved by her older cousin Tommy, whose house it was, found her in a hiding place and carried her to safety. And it was Taryn who has been to more morgues, funeral homes, to make arrangement than any young person should ever have had to. For her uncle, her cousin, her auntie, her cousin Tommy when he was killed. And for her father when he died, and her older brother years later when he died, and when she was age 12 when her mother died. And we adopted Taryn and her sister Elizabeth and her brother Jeremy. And it was Taryn who, at age 7, while walking herself from her parents' house to school, was run over by a van. And the witnesses say the wheels ran right over her. And her dad calls and says, "Look, Taryn is asking to see Michelle." So we went to the hospital room in her tiny little self in that huge bed, and everybody marveled at the miracle that she survived. And that same year, Taryn was attacked by a pit bull who mauled her face, leaving her side of her face with this jagged, crisscross, dark scar so that other children in her class would sometimes call her Scarface. But a miraculous thing happened, a beautiful thing. As she got older and as she grew in confidence, the more confident she became, the more that scar seemed to fade. And I remember her telling me, you know, people always underestimate me. So when we heard those Major's words, we knew, toughest thing she'll ever go through? Yeah, maybe top 10, maybe. And nowadays, when we think of Taryn and all those years we spent loving her and nurturing her and worrying about her and protecting her, whether she was with us or not with us, we smile because we now know she's Marine Corporal Taryn Ludoff, protecting us all.